Hey guys, I just wanted to reach out to you and let you know that Surewinder is still selling amazing products. Some of you guys have been dragging your feet for whatever reason. If your shoulder hurts, do not waste time. Pull the trigger. I just bought 4 or 5 of them, and we had 2 guys out. You know how much it cost me to pay for 2 guys being out with bad shoulders? We just pulled the trigger and we said, listen, everybody's going to have one on a truck. It's mandatory. You got to use it. Don't hesitate. Don't wait till your guys go down. It's going to cost you more. Buy a Surewinder.
What is going on, garage door folks? Man, what a beautiful day. With the exception of how cold it is. Sun is shining. We have so much to be thankful for. And on YouTube, it looks like the spring in my background is coming out of my neck. Anyway, man, do you ever just sit back and think about how blessed you are and how much you have and all the things that you should be grateful for? Just the simple opportunities that we have is incredible. As much as I want to get into politics and all of my tax dollars being spent on investigating how turtles can play table tennis in Africa or whatever, I'm going to stay away from that because I think it's been beat to death. But we're going to continue our series on dispatch software, field service management software. And before I do that, I just want to, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but I want to give a shout out to CDI, Canadian Door Institute, and thank them for considering me to come to their event. What an honor. And I've heard so many good things about their organization from Stephanie and Jay. And the opportunity to go and attend is crazy. Love it. And so shout out and thank you to you guys. Humbling and honored. So moving on, this field service software, I'm going to say something real quick. I owe some of you guys an apology. I promised like thorough due diligence on choosing this software. And I have a tendency to get really excited when I see stuff that I feel like is cutting edge and answers all of the questions. And I kind of like jumped the gun a little bit. And in the Facebook group, Best Field Service Management Software, the name of the group, in case you want to join, I alluded to the fact that I was having a meeting with Acumatica, and it wasn't, I mean, I did have a meeting with Acumatica, but the way they work is Acumatica built me, the easiest way for me to explain is like, think of Acumatica, it's an ERP. So it's designed to be like one software for everything. Most of the ERPs work backwards, where like I've discussed before, how a lot of this software kind of works off the foundation of being like dispatch, right? Dispatch software, quoting. That's like the foundation, and then they kind of build out from there. But the dispatch software isn't necessarily very strong on the financial side. And ServiceTitan is probably like the best when it comes to maybe the financial stuff, KPI tracking, but it's not flexible, right? And I know they have dashboards and custom reports and stuff, but I say it's not because they don't have a CRM function that's very good. and they don't have a project management, like internal project management tool that's very good. And so I haven't had my meeting with them, just FYI. So I'm saying all this based on my opinion of using it for like 7 years. So we've had to acquire other software. Now, the Acumatica process has been a little different, right? When I go and I request a demo from a dispatch software, I get like a 30-minute meeting and we kind of like talk a little bit in the beginning and then we rush kind of through the software a little bit, some of the features. Maybe we touch on the pricing at the end and then I get like the closing question. And that's been pretty standard through the whole process. But the Acumatica process, and it probably would have been fairly different if I would have taken a different approach. And so that's a good time for me to circle back to where I left you earlier. Acumatica is in my opinion, this is my observation, a financial software that is designed to be an ERP. It does not have a dispatch software. It does not have a lot of the things that field service companies need. However, they create partners. These partners' goal is to develop into Acumatica or on top of Acumatica features that allow it to niche down to specific industries. Now, that brings us into Insight for Doors. And I don't know the name of the company, quite honestly. Let me see if I can figure it out because I think it's important. But they on their website they promote install service, distribution, manufacturing, simple payments. Excuse me. These guys do not do like a lot of promotion of their product, and they tout that they have like most of the biggest dealers in the industry using their software. And they claim that once you get to the 10 million mark, I think it was 10 million, he said, you know, that's when these companies start looking elsewhere for better insights into financials. And I couldn't agree more, honestly. Now I have spoken to a few of the people and I've got some meetings lined up with others who use the software because I knew going into it because I had kind of heard and then I also got some pricing a couple years ago that there was like an upfront development charge. But during that time, they like customize the whole software to your workflows, which is super cool because all the other software is more like, okay, they got to warn you going in. There's going to be some things that don't work with your current workflows, and you'll just have to adjust. And that's because they're like building a software for the masses, and it's not easy to build a software that is modified per client, right? With all these different workflows. You get into a lot of complication that way. But that is the way that Acumatica, I believe, is designed on the foundation. So I'm not going to get into pricing. I don't think we'll see how I go with this, but um, there is some discussion that I'm having with them because after I went to Acumatica first, honestly, because I like the idea of me building on top of Acumatica and offering a solution to the garage door industry, but they already had a partner and um, they connected me with them. And the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, man, if I don't have to build into a software of my own, then I can use someone else's. Man, I'm going to save a ton of money in development costs. And that is true. But these guys are asking north of $50,000 upfront, a lot more. And then you're going to pay a lot per month. You're looking at probably $5,000 a month to use the software. Now, the upfront's a big deal, but it is designed for bigger companies with more complex problems. So for a smaller company like mine, who doesn't necessarily have a bunch of complex problems, it's really hard to justify the upfront expense. However, if you're a company like mine, you're trying to get to 10 or $15 million, this could help you get there faster, I think. The feedback I've gotten from people who use the software, which at this point in time is only 3 people, is the insights, no pun intended, into the data is second to none. Like, the information that you're able to get is incredible. Now, as a business owner, we want to make decisions off of data, right? We want to educate ourselves and make good decisions off of data. And if it's not good data in, then it's going to be not good data out. And one of the best ways I've learned to have good data in, good data out is have one system manage everything. When you get into a bunch of different systems talking to each other, there can be some issues with reporting, especially in my opinion with ServiceTitan. They kind of create their own calculations of things that sometimes don't make sense to me. And I feel like they do that to justify the use of the software. And to me, it feels a little bit manipulative. But I guess if I was in their shoes, maybe I'd do the same thing. I don't know. But I say all that to say that the feedback I've gotten on Insight for Doors, the product, is the Acumatica side of things is unbelievable. The reports and the data, the financial information, the KPIs, all of that. Where it lacks is on the field management software side. And that is what the company who designed Insight for Doors built into the software. Now, that's probably not super easy, right? Like, I'm just gonna be honest from my perspective. Building a field service management, like, there's some components to it that are probably easy. And if you're talking about the calendar and it kicking off certain notifications and stuff, like, that's fairly simple technology. But when you get into trying to implement and integrate field management software layers into an existing software that wasn't initially designed for that, but does have a lot of flexibility, I could see how that would be challenging. However, and this is the kind of the debate that I'm having with them at the moment, and I don't have clarity yet. And I told them, I was like, hey, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm hoping to get some clarity on this. Um, and they've been really good to work with and very blunt and honest, which I really respect. But my challenge is, if you're charging, well, I'm just going to tell you, $65,000 is what they're asking for minimum, right? If you're charging $65,000 for a software upfront, like, first of all, that's a lot of trust that you got to have in a company. And in the world of field service management software, a lot of them have left us frustrated, angry, and upset with overpromising, under delivering. And so that relationship between us and them, because that software is so influential in our business and we feel like we can't depend on it sometimes, or, you have systems where I feel like they lose their way a little bit and kind of nickel and dime you, which is what I feel now with ServiceTitan. The like this company specializes in building or have already built and integrated the field service management into Acumatica. Now, here's the catch. This is where I'm having a hard time understanding the the process. And we're working through it. They're being great. They're responding. They're probably tired of my questions and my long emails, but I'm really genuinely trying to figure out the logic behind it so that I can make a good decision. And I spoke to someone who did implementation with them for a very long time, and it sounds like he never launched. And you're talking that could be like $100,000+ only to be left frustrated and with nothing. So I'm not trying to dog it because I think I'm really going to like it. But here's where I think they kind of miss it a little bit. And I told them this to a degree. And it's part of it's my fault, right? I went to Acumatica, talked to them because I didn't know how they did their partnerships. Then I get funneled to another guy who's like the matchmaker. Have a meeting with him. Both of those guys, him and John, are great. Excellent customer service. The experience was great. They were like, "Oh, you need to talk to Scott." Scott's the guy that works at Insight for Doors, or I think Insight for Doors is the product, but Insight for Doors, I think there's a parent company involved. Anyway, he was like, he's gonna be perfect. They kind of gave me some ranges because like there's a point of contention where like every single one of those conversations with Acumatica was like, can you afford this? And they're kind of, and rightfully so, right? But they're like, hey, can you afford, what's your budget for this? And we kind of talked some preliminary stuff, and um like nothing we had discussed. The first guy, John, gave me some numbers, nothing that was like very realistic, very much in my price range. And then I got to the second guy. I was like, he's asking me the same questions. What's your budget? And I'm like, well, based on what I understand it to be, it's within my budget. I'm good. Then I get to Insight for Doors, and then Insight for Doors is like, hey, here's the price. And not only is it like significantly more than what we had talked about just a week earlier, 2 weeks earlier on the phone with Acumatica, which maybe Acumatica shouldn't be quoting things on their behalf, or maybe they're supposed to, but haven't gotten like the most updated pricing from Insight for Doors. I don't know honestly. And that's like, there's so many things that aren't adding up. That's got me kind of like a little bit frustrated with the process. And again, we're working through all this stuff, and I think we're doing it professionally. But when I saw the price, I'm like, whoa, this is way more than what they quoted me at Acumatica. This is way more than I was quoted in 2022. But I also don't want to be that guy that's like, got the quote in 2017 and I'm trying to buy the door at the same price, which I understand. If it's gone up, it's fine. He said it went up 10%. It's way more than 10%. So part of my challenge is, and then, I spoke to some people who signed up recently and paid significantly less. So I don't know that there's a lot of transparency in the pricing, or if they just he did say, because I did address that, I did ask, and then he came back and told me, he's like, look, there's some complexity in what you're trying to accomplish, which I do have a tendency to use technology to streamline things, but that's the whole purpose of the ERP. And the whole purpose of ERP is to eliminate as many amounts of software as possible. And so we're looking at potentially removing 5 different software to integrate, this platform. So maybe I racked it up when I started talking about all the things that we're doing, all the software we're using and how we're using it. And then he's sitting there trying to estimate. And so I thought that was a fair response to my email. So maybe the first quote I got from Acumatica was like, hey, if you're just like opening it up and using the bare minimum stuff, this is what it is. And then once I got to Insight for Doors, it was like, like a felt like a gut punch. Like I got a little bit like I got a little bit teased and because man, like the more I research Acumatica in general, the more impressed I am with it. You know, where the doubt is like the UI UX has some concerns, but I was told that that's changing in the near future. So that's good. I also have some concerns about um, the field management portion that Insight is in charge of. And when I'm looking at spending like 5 grand a month on something, the other challenge I have is they don't support the products at that. They have this like, I think I've told you guys before, these old school ways of charging customers for software will go away. And the companies who hold on to it tightly will go away. Um, I'm 100% sure of that. I see no scenario where software has constantly been able to generate 40, 50, 60, 70, even 80% net profits. However, most software doesn't try to do that because when you're building a software company, it's usually about speed, and investors don't really care about profit. They actually go off of growth and revenue. So, in their world, net profit isn't the most important. I would almost venture to say it's not important at all, but I have seen profits net 40, 50, 60% in software. So the idea is you charge what the value is that you deliver, which I'm a big fan of. And I've preached that on my podcast forever. But you can also price yourself out of a market and also believe that the like large upfront, large monthly, and then you got to pay me for support tickets on top of that is really hard to swallow. And that is like the way that old school software companies used to charge, like back in the day, right? When you would have to tap in via VPN and it wasn't in the cloud. That is like a really, 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 really old school way of doing it. However, I will say they do not put limits on users. So if you have a really big company, and let's say you got 30, 40, 50 people, 60 people, 70 people, 80 people, you don't pay a dime more. And in that case, I felt like it's really cool with the exception of the, hey, one of my employees put a support ticket in and it cost me $1,000. You know, like that's part of the challenge there. Hey guys, I found something that changed my business and I want to share it with you. We've created packages that have included some of the best products in our industry to offer our service customers. The heart of that package is Stealth Hardware Kit. Stealth Hardware is the quietest hinges on the market. I challenge you to buy at least one of these, test it for yourself. Put it on your truck and design a quiet performance package for your customers willing to pay for a better, smoother running door. Buy your Stealth Hardware Kit at Service Spring, do a search for Quiet Hinge, and then buy that. You can buy a double or single door, 7 or 8 foot tall, and promise you, it'll change your service forever.
Somer USA and Somer Group want to thank you for an incredible year and the trust you put in them and their products. As you know, Somer places high value on relationships, education, customer service, innovation, and professionalism. And they are grateful to you for your part in the fostering and dissemination of these values. If there is any way Somer can support you in your journey, whether through their products, the values they hold to, or the knowledge Somer has gained through interaction with door dealers across the world, please reach out to the team at your convenience. They are here to serve you. Again, thank you from the entire Somer team. Check them out at somerusa.com. Tell them Ryan sent you.
So I plan to do a demo if they're willing. Um, I want to see the products. I did ask if I could fly out during the conversation that I had with Insight for Doors. They were willing to do that. They're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I thought that was really cool. I'm a very visual in person. I like to process things and ask questions, and I'm playing out scenarios of like, what if, then this, and how does this work? And I'm also looking for all the like fine print and the hidden, eggs that are in there that are going to cause issues for my company. And it's my job to do the due diligence so that my team, we don't get halfway through deployment and we have to stop, be like, this isn't going to work. And a 30-minute or an hour long conversation isn't going to get that done. So, that said, I love the idea of flying in there and sitting down in a conference room and spending, a half a day going through everything. And that would be my preferred method, especially if they're trying to charge me, you know, 60, $70,000. So let's backpedal a little bit. I apologize to the group because I got a little excited about the idea of this software, and I'll tell you why. You guys know that I'm like really into AI, and I do believe like the days of sitting down at a computer and logging in and staying in front of a computer all day is for your employees and you as a business owner is dwindling. Like those days are going away. I believe there's going to be layers. Take Google, for example. I do not think in 5 or 6 years we're going to go to Google to do search. I don't think that's the case. I think Google is going to act more like a filing cabinet, like a back end tool that a lot of platforms will pull from because that is where who has the most data. And we can all speculate and argue about the goals of Google and how they lay out their pages. And in some cases, some searches will yield ads all the way above the fold where you don't even see an organic at all, trying to force people to click so it spends money for you. And that is how they make money. They monetize it. I don't know how they plan on monetizing in the future, but I do think that you will get a lot of AI platforms, AI agents who are going to Google to get information and bring it back to the end user. Similar to that, I think that a lot of software like ServiceTitan, even Insight for Doors, will be moving away from sitting down, logging in, and working out of it all day. I don't see that being realistic with what I know about AI and the future of software. I think we're going to have like two levels of the world. We're going to have like the underworld, which is where all the data lays and where most of us 40-year-olds have spent a lot of our life interacting with. And then we're going to have this new layer where it's one app in your phone that gives you anything and everything you want, real time notifications, real time engagement. And I think that's where we're headed. And the business model of a lot of these software companies, not just Insight for Doors, I don't I don't know if they see it yet, but it seems very clear to me that that's the future. And so I don't want to get locked in on a software and in 5 years be stuck. And I will say that I did post a video. Insight for Doors has told me they rolled out AI into 20% of their software, and it's very, very impressive. Also, saw a video of them deploying AI agents into their software. This is game changer, y'all. I think this is the next phase of it. And then I think you're going to have, a couple iterations of that. And then everybody's just going to be on their phone with a single app that's an AI agent with other AI agents underneath it, all working together to streamline and work for you. And I'd venture to say that every person will be able to do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50x the production per day than what we're doing now. And you'll be able to do it all on the go in your car, at the dinner table, whatever, which is pretty impressive. So I know you're probably like, you're going off the deep end, but and maybe I'm overthinking. And I have a tendency to do that. Like I see the future and I see where we're at. I see that it couldn't be that far apart. And then I see this huge commitment and I'm like, man, I want it. I like it. I want to explore it. I want to see if it's a good fit. And then, um, but I don't want to make this huge investment and then 3 years later, it be, you know, so far behind and 2 or 3 times as much because of the business model. Up and coming software companies have a huge advantage, in my opinion, which, these guys probably aren't going to agree with. But if you can build something for a fraction of the cost and build in agents to help support it, which every day we're getting closer to and better at, I do think the cost of software is going to drop dramatically. And then the people who have these super high prices on software are going to really struggle to hold on to their customers. And that'll be the rise of wealth transfer in the software game. And I mean, I can literally, there's a mobile app called Riplet, and Riplet allows you to create an app, no code or low code, depending on the app that you want to build, and post it, test it, and then send it to the app stores. And I saw a guy create a game and build it out, everything ready to submit to the app stores in less than 5 minutes. And this mobile app for building mobile apps is now one of the hottest, fastest growing companies. And I mean, think about it. Just wasn't too long ago, they were charging the same price that Acumatica was or is, right? You were going to spend 50 to 100 grand to build an app. And then you were going to have to pay all these maintenance fees to keep up with it and everything else every single month. If the app game has been destroyed, what do you think is going to happen to the software game? Same thing's going to happen. Someone's going to build an open source ERP system that can be modified and built with AI agents exactly the way you want it for a fraction of the cost. And it's not here yet. And it may not be here for 5 to 10 more years, but it's coming. And if there are field service management software out there listening to this, I want you to know that that should be, in my opinion, your target. And I can't help but think about the video game that my son plays and Kyle Hart got me on. It's free to play. What was it? Fortnite. Fortnite's free to play. What is Fortnite worth? Okay. In 2022, Epic Games was valued at 31 billion after raising 2 billion in funding from Sony and Lego. Um, yeah, there's not like a whole lot of Fortnite is one of the most popular video games in the world with 650 million players as the November 2023. Like, I don't think there's any data. They're probably a private company, but here's what I'm going to tell you. They make a ton of money. Oh, here we go. I don't know when this was posted. Fortnite surpasses 1 billion in lifetime mobile revenue before being kicked off both Apple App and App Store and Google Play Store. So I think there was some discrepancy because people were downloading it. Fortnite was making a ton of money, but the um, iOS store and the Google store weren't making any money because they only get paid on transactions. So anyway, long story short, they have like all these things that you can buy inside of it, right? Skins and whatever, and it doesn't really make you better. It just makes you look cooler, status thing. But that is the type of mindset that I think gets mass adoption and wins the market. So I don't know. Yes, I can hear you all being like, you're overthinking it, Ryan. And yes, probably. So I need to be probably more in the moment. What's available now? It's just I'm like underwater over here researching, learning, building agents, and the capability every day is evolving and getting better and easier. And I don't know, man. That's a lot of money up front. And oh, I will say, I don't think I brought this up, but I was told that we cannot port our ServiceTitan data in, or let me rephrase that because they did clarify they can, but it's a no one's chose to do it because it's a massive amount of money for them to do that. And I will say that that's probably true. And when you sign up for these some of these field service management software, you will learn that their export feature is difficult and complicated and formatted in ways that does not make it easy to leave. I see that in marketing agencies, is definitely true in software, and it's not right, but it's what happens. So that hurts because we'll not have no historical data, or we have to keep ServiceTitan, or I have to pay someone to manually enter every single thing into ServiceTitan. And that feels like a lot. Feels like a lot. But we could have that done while they're building simultaneously and in a format where they could upload it. So that's something I'm considering. But again, more cost. And my question to them was, if I'm paying $65,000 upfront and you're not even porting in my new data and you already have the platform built, what exactly are we paying for? And again, the answer was, we're eliminating 6 things of yours into one software, and we've got to make sure all that happens and works properly. Fair, fair. I still think the cost of that is probably a little high, especially if you're trying to lower a barrier of entry, unless you aren't trying to lower the barrier of entry. And that very well may be the truth. And another person brought up a good point that I was in a conversation with. They said that a lot of private equity firms are coming in and moving to Insight for Doors. And he believes that could be getting them maybe a little bit cocky, um, to the point where they're like, oh, we can charge more for this. And maybe so. And there's nothing wrong with understanding the value of your product. Um, and there's nothing wrong with being cocky about it, to be honest with you. Like, if you love your product and it's great, and you know who your customer is, you should price it out that way. Am I your customer? I don't know. Like, we're trying to figure that out. Price wise, probably not, but everything else, maybe. Like, I need to see the product. I still haven't really seen the demo. So I'm trying to coordinate that with them. But moving on, spoke with Service Fusion. That dude's a good, he's good at following up. I'm not gonna lie. Great salesperson, always ends the conversation with a closing. Um, I wouldn't say he's like aggressive, like in an uncomfortable way, but I would say he's great at follow up and he's a good salesperson. Knows the product for the most part really well. This, you know, I think he's good. I just don't think Service Fusion is for air and overhead doors. We've been there, um, and for the sole purpose of, like, I've told him the same thing. I love the architecture, the flows, especially of the difference between an estimate and a job because they act different a little bit. And Service Titan, when we went on with them, they were like, everything's a job. And I'm like, no, it's not. But you can call it a job if you want. Um, but they're, you know, the lack of flexibility there and workflows and that is challenging with Service Titan, where Service Fusion really addresses some of that stuff. And Insight for Doors, I don't know how, but they do have built in a lot of flexible payment options when you're doing projects where you have terms and even retainages for those companies that are in, doing builder work or construction or commercial. We're used to having a 10% retainage held. And in some cases, that can be anywhere from 30 days all the way to 6 months. And it sucks. Um, but apparently, Acumatica is really good at that type of stuff, managing that. Those things are not easily managed in Service Titan. So, long story short, I still got to do a few more demos. I talk to a few more people. My apologies for getting a little overexcited about Acumatica. I will come back to earth, and I appreciate the guys over there for doing a good job walking me through everything so far. Um, and I think once I see the demo, I'll have a really good understanding of, you know, is it for us? I'm lowering my standards as far as like UI, UX, just because I've been told that it's old school a little bit, and some of the stuff that I've seen on YouTube or videos people sent me, it is a little bit old school looking. But I was told that they're updating that in a year or so, and then apparently they're working through it, and it's already in motion. So that's super cool. So that's exciting for me because I do put a lot of weight into that. It needs to feel good when you're in it. So I hope today was helpful. We talked a lot about one company, but I'm going to try to address some of the others. I got a request for Field Edge, not Field Pulse. I did meet with Field Pulse. Still need to go back to them. And then Field Edge, I'll schedule a demo with them, include them in the process, learn more about them, and chat. And I'll bring that information to you guys. So, with that being said, overall, I'm super excited to see a demo of Insight for Doors and can't wait to report what I think of it, at least, and some of the capabilities. I love that AI agents are being built into it. I love that it can go out. Actually, I have in my notes here. Give me 1 second. I want to share this with you. See if I can find it. Oh, it's in my drive. Sorry, y'all, but this is going to be worth it. I don't want to misspeak. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, I got the file. I love that it's open, two-way open API. That's excellent. Credit card processing, they say they're level 3. I didn't really know this, but level 3 is the cheapest you can get because it's the lowest liability. You can use third-party um, payment processors, which is great. Can't do that really with ServiceTitan. They kind of force you into their own, which is stupid. Um, they have, I'm trying to pick the things I think you guys are going to really worry or care about. Um, Oh, one thing that they don't have is like that present mode that I really love with ServiceTitan being able to show someone the different quotes. They don't have anything like that. So there's no customer facing point of the software at all. There is no offline mode, which isn't really a concern of ours. And then if that is an issue for you and you really love Acumatica, then I would suggest going with like satellite internet through Elon. I have it here at my house as a backup and I've used it sometimes and I really like it. Let's see here. They built in AI functionality, AI anomaly detection, just meaning like in reports, if there's something that's off, it'll bring it to your attention automatically. Expense recognition, basically, like if you have an inbox like accounting, at ABC Garage Doors, and your receipts go in there or your bills go in there, it will scan it, it'll attach it to the appropriate job. That is super freaking cool. I know that I saw something like that with QuickBooks that you can do that. I tested it, it didn't work, but maybe I did it wrong. If it can't apply it to something, it triggers a question to you on how you want to handle it. They have accounts payable document recognition. So that's what that is. I thought that was really cool. They shared with me some things that is coming up that I don't feel comfortable sharing because it was in confidence. But I will say that they have a video on some of this stuff on YouTube. If you search Acumatica Summit 2025, and they talk about AI agents and how, like, if you wanted to know anything like KPI on a certain employee, you could literally just do like a voice command or type in like, "Hey, how is Ryan doing with sales this month compared to the same month last year?" And it literally pulls up that information in like in text, but it also changes the page to like a report with dashboard and all this data is laid out for you so you can see not only how it's comparing, but like in what ways. Super freaking cool. And that's supposed to be rolling out this year. They have a bunch of different dashboards. You can have dashboards for specific people when they log in. They have project management, workflow, and workflow engine. Um, they have like if this then that. So there's different things that you can do with that. All the text communication, all that for dispatch notifications, those are good. They handle multi-location, multi-department apparently very well for tracking as well. Onboarding, they kind of went over the process. It takes like 90 to 120 days to go live. And they start with general ledger, which just confirms that they're financial first and they kind of go from there. So you're going to want to make sure your general ledger is clean and neat and organized the way you want it, I guess, before you go live. Let's see here. They have a payroll system that you can do in it. So if you wanted to, you can eliminate that software as well, but I don't think we're going to do that. Not user base, unlimited users. And you can have as many companies as you want. So like if you have 3 or 4 locations, a distribution center, and let's say you also have a lawn care company, you can run all of those on here separately, no additional fee, which is crazy. The usage fees should be for all of us pretty much the same, which is the monthly rate that they charge. And I'm estimating that to be somewhere around $5,000 a month, but it's they price that out via like invoice. And the amount of invoices that you have to go over in order to do that is pretty high. And then he shared with me that it's not a big increase at all if you go over. So there's a lot of good stuff that I like, and there's some things that I don't like, and that's just going to be, I think, the case with everything. But I've gotten really impressed with what I saw in the YouTube videos with AI integration, and I'm excited to see the demo. So I will keep you guys posted on Acumatica, as well as I'll get some others planned and scheduled and give you guys an update. Y'all be blessed. Have a wonderful day and be grateful for what you got.